Hi everyone. In the last video, I have shown you how to solve algebraic equations and system of algebraic equations. Today, I'm going to show you how to make calculus operations that I think may be very interesting to prepare our classes and also to help us to construct our animations. So let's start defining a function like this. And suppose I want to compute this function in some values. For example, when x equals minus 1, when x equals 0, and when x equals 1. So in this case, we see that Maxima complains we have some problem with the function. So actually this function, it's not, it has a discontinuity in when x equals 1. And to compute the value of the function in this point, we needed to compute the limit of the function when x approaches 1. In Maxima, we can do this by executing this command. And then Maxima gives us the result. Maxima can also compute the limit of a function when we approach a number from below or from above. So to exemplify this, let me find this function. If I compute the limit of this function when x approaches 0, then I see that the result is infinity. Maxima does not let clear if this is positive or negative infinity, but it says this is complex infinity. In order to know if this is a real positive or negative, we have to tell to Maxima that we are approaching 0 from above or from below. To tell it that we want to approach this value from below, we have to add minus as one of the entries of the command limit. If you want to tell it that we want to approach 0 from above, then we have to add plus. We can also compute the limit of functions when the variable approach symbolic values, for example, infinity. So in this case, let's use the same function. And we want to say that x is going to approach infinity. Then we can type this. We can also tell Maxima that we want to approach minus infinity. In this case, let's just try this function. And there is the result. Maxima also knows how to derivate a function. So in this case, we have to type this command. If Maxima does not know the function, it just gives this expression. If it knows the function, then it gives us the result. It knows how to compute higher derivatives. For example, the second derivative of sine of x. Just be careful, because when we use this command to define a function, we cannot use the standard function definition. For example, if I try to define a function like this, and I try to compute this function in one point, then Maxima gives me a warning that something is wrong. Because when we have to define, we want to define a function like this, we have to use the command define. And then the defined function works correctly. Maxima knows how to integrate. And in order to integrate a function, we can type this. So when it does not know the function, it gives us this expression. And if it knows how to integrate, then it gives us the result. Maxima knows how to compute definite and indefinite integrals. So in this case, we have seen an example of indefinite integral. Let's try the definite integration of sine of x when x goes from 0 to pi. Then it returns the numeric result. Maxima, we can also use symbolic values in the integration as we did in the limit process. For example, if I want to integrate this function when x goes from 0 to infinity, then I can, then I can type this. Since Maxima does not know the value of a, and this is important to know the final result, it asks me if a is positive, negative, or 0. In this case, so that the result is converged, we have the a has to be positive, then I'm going to answer positive, and then press Shift plus Enter, and then Maxima gives me the result. We can also use integrate to define functions, but again, we have to be careful not to use the standard function definition of Maxima to define functions from the command integrate. For example, if I try again to define a function like this, and I try to compute the function in one point, Maxima will return a error message. If I want to define a function, use it then integrate, we have again to use the command define. And then I can compute the function normally. So I hope you have you like this video today. If you have any doubt, please write a comment. I'll try to answer as I know. And see you in the next video.